Oh man, gotta love tactical knives, man. I just I have a taste for tactical knives. Fighting knives, heck yeah. Cause you know what? There's nothing best than something you can use not just for self-defense, but all around tool. And a lot of people like that. A lot of people like the versatility of having a knife that can do all of it. So let's talk blades, everybody. That's what we're into today. Got for you Ontario knives. Now, you guys are familiar with Ontario. If you own an Ontario Rat Model 1 or 2, you guys know Ontario Knife Company. They make some good stuff. I had a couple of Ontario Rats, but I've gotten rid of them. I don't know. I couldn't handle I just wouldn't carry them. I like them, and I had them in the collection, but I just wouldn't carry them. I always had something else I'd carry as a folder. They're not bad knives at a budget. If you're trying to get something decent in a pinch, they have smooth opening mechanisms on there, and they're just really great. The pivot on it is it's smooth as butter out of the box, I gotta say. I don't know if I termed that right. Anyways, this is a trench knife. And if you guys are familiar with trench knives, it's a fighting knife. Leather stacked handles, the whole bit, everybody. So let's go ahead and show you what the box looks like. You get it in this freaking thing, and the price tag on it's relatively affordable. It is under $100. You're looking at a $75 to $80 knife right now. The price tag on it's about $80 and change. $80.15 on Blade HQ. So, on the box, silver writing, OKC, 1889, Ontario Knife Company. So you got that big, bold letters right there. And on the bottom, you have your barcode. It says trench knife made in the USA. That is important. Now, I cannot stress how important it is to have a USA-made trench knife. I've had a couple of Chinese knockoffs, and let me tell you, they're not the best. I still have one. The other one broke. The first one I ever had of a trench knife, I think I was at a friend's house, and we're using it in his backyard, and the thing snapped. I don't remember what we were doing. We were doing something. I think we were prying open a metal box. That's what we were doing, and it was in his backyard. It was all rusted, and we shouldn't be prying with anything, a knife for that matter, because you're just gonna either damage it or ruin it or break it or whatever. We were prying open this. It looked like an ammo can. I'm not entirely sure. Can't remember what it was, and the blade just snapped. Of course, it was a really cheap knife. Obviously, it was just a knockoff trench knife with a plastic handle. It was. I can say I think we got it at a swap meet for like less than $30. I can't remember. It was just we're just a bunch of dumb kids. And the second one I have that I still have today, I haven't showed it on this channel, but I do plan on showing it to you guys, is from Boker, and it has a metal scabbard, and it even has it's just the military grade kind that looks very real. But it was it's also another Chinese made one, or is it with Taiwan? From Boker. I can't remember if it was Chinese or Taiwan. I can't remember. You guys will see it. I have it. It's still in my collection. It has a little bit of rust, unfortunately, but I have to clean that up. You guys will see it at some point. So yeah. Anyways, back to this. Very generic box. Nothing too crazy. Just pull it apart. What I thought was really cool is that they had it separate. So in this, you will have your leather sheath. And yes, it looks like this for the bag looks like this for a reason. This thing is drenched. The leather is drenched in oil, so just keep that in mind. The rivets that are on the leather scabbard were literally caked in that green substance. I don't know if you can still kind of see it. That stuff right there, the brass rivets, they get that oxidation on there. It was that heavily oiled, the leather. So when you take it out of the bag and your fingers are going to look a little bit shiny and they're going to be kind of filmy, just keep that in mind. The knife is going to be housed in this right here. And of course you have this very awesome warranty card that I can't seem to get up. And this is actually kind of nice. I haven't seen this before, but the leather's raised on there, so it's kind of nice to have this. Anyways, that's just the literature boring half, so let's get to the exciting part. Here's the knife. Now, I added this little bit right here. I threw on the paracord. You guys know me. If there's a thigh tie somewhere, I always throw my paracord on there because it's always a good option to use a little bit more length on the thigh tie, because sometimes they don't really tie all the way around. I'm not saying I'm a big dude, but sometimes they cut those thigh ties kind of short. And when you try to tie it, you only get maybe one knot in, and it's not even that secure, and it's just a basic knot before, you can't even, it's kind of useless how I don't know who measures these things. I'm not a big guy, so it's not like my thighs are huge, but you can imagine whoever's cutting them is like, yeah, we'll do less than a foot cut, yeah, tight, whatever, no one cares. But it does come with this leather thigh tie that I've actually made into this, and I put it up here. It was located down here through this hole. I just took it and tied it up here because I thought it was a little bit shorter than I'd like it to be. So I measured out the length that I wanted, and I put my own thigh tie on here using paracord, my leftover paracord, which I have plenty of. So just keep that in mind. It did not come with that. I just put that on there. But it does come with this, and I just use this as kind of like an extra if I want to hang it somewhere. I just use that for this. Knife itself, I think, is really good. The original trench knife comes with a steel metal housing. This is new, different. But through Ontario Knives, I think this is actually kind of nice. I really do appreciate leather sheaths, so this is actually it's a plus. I really do like that. On the back, it says Ontario Knife Company, and of course you can see the rivets on there. Really, really cool stuff. It is a snap closure. On the snap, it says 1889, and it is stacked leather on there, so it's really nice. Whatever oils that came off of this scabbard, I actually put on here to make it look darker. I was wondering why this thing was so greasy when I pulled it out, and this was dry, so I just used whatever oils that were on my hand from this, and I just put it on here, and it kind of darkened it a little bit, so that's actually kind of nice. It's kind of stupid, but I mean, it worked out. Stacked leather, really, really good grip on there. It's fantastic. It really does look like a really good trench knife. Now, this isn't razor sharp, unfortunately, but it does have a workable factory edge on this thing. So I went to slice the packing, the thin packing with it, and it sliced through it pretty well. So it works. It really does work. It's not the best edge in the world, but it'll do the job. So on the blade, it says US M3 Ontario. It says 1943 on the blade. There it goes. It focused in a little bit. So that's really cool. And yes, it is sharpened on that side, but only at the top edge. Back here, the spine just, straight metal. So really awesome. I really do like this. Blade HQ sells it for 80 and change, like I said. If you're interested in a fighting knife, basically. I've heard stories about these knives breaking in the field. Not a lot of people really cared very much for these knives. They just worked. And you were issued one of these knives if your rifle didn't come with a bayonet. That's kind of the backstory of why these knives they had their purpose, Not everybody got this knife, and of course this kind of developed into the more current Kbars that we're more familiar with now that actually look a little bit different than this. But this was the first one before the Kbar became what it was in the blade design that it turned out to be, because that was more stout. It was more sturdier, there was less breakage. It was an all-around user's knife, so you can use it not just for fighting, but you could, field dressing or whatever you have to do to cut things. It was just your all-around utility knife. This was basically for people who didn't have a bayonet. They were like, here you go, here's something that you can stab somebody with, because sorry. But it does have a metal, I think this is full tang, I'm pretty sure. You can see that right there. So this is a really, really nice piece. Everything is, it's very crudely made. This wasn't made to be pretty. This was made to function. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get into the specs of this knife. We'll get into the length, the weight, all that good and happy jazz. It's very basic in its design. Like I said, this was meant to be used and abused and not really kind of babied in any way. It's a very, very rough design, and I really like that about this knife. So you're looking at about 7 inches from the guard to the blade, with a cutting edge of 6 and a little bit over 6 5/8, probably a smidge over that. And you're looking just under a foot, just under. So you're looking at 11 7/8, almost a foot, just a tad shy. That swell really does feel big in my hands. That palm swell right there, but it's not bad. It provides plenty grip. It really does, and it feels good. This feels like the type of knife that I would feel confident in using, had I needed to and it was on me. But I probably wouldn't use it for, smacking wood or trying to, make tinder or anything like that. I think this is a knife that's really set for just combat alone. I'm sure it could do other things. You can hammer some nails down or whatever. I mean, that'll be fine. Lightly pry some stuff open, but this thing is really thin for what it is. Get the scale out here so you guys know how much this thing how heavy it is anyways, and it's half. So I'm going to weigh the blade by itself, and then I'm going to weigh it with the scabbard with it in its sheath. Looking at 8.30 ounces. So, I guess not too bad for what it is. I'm going to sheath it. There we go. That's kind of a crude little rough estimate here, so because things are kind of hanging off the side, it's still going. So 11.59 ounces. Let me flip it upside down. Maybe that'll help. Okay, yeah, that did help a little bit. 13.20 ounces. And that's with both ties. So if you have to guess, you don't have to put the paracord on there if you don't want to, or whatever, shoelace or whatever you guys decide to use. But that leather cut right there was a little bit short for me. It just didn't. I always find that to be a problem sometimes. Like, they never cut those things to true length. They always cut them slightly short. That's just through my own personal experience. I really do enjoy this knife a lot. Oh, you know what? Let me get the calipers out. I keep forgetting to do that. Oh, man. Isn't that crazy? Take this back out. Bam. All right. All right. You're looking at 4.0 on the blade. And it is about the same throughout. Unless you get up to here, then it's a little bit thinner. 3.9, yeah, so a little bit thinner. At the swell, the handle, you're looking at a 28.0. So, like I said, it's not bad. It has a lot of aesthetic to it when it comes to, if you're like a World War II kind of collector and you don't have one of these and you're always trying to find one that's decent, get one of these. I've seen trench knives go for $200-300 if you want like an original one that's been carried or issued. I mean, these are the type of knives that are great for the collector, for that type of genre. But if you're looking for something that doesn't break the bank now, this would be a more than fair option. I really do like it. It does feel and look real to me. It doesn't look or feel fake in any way or cheap. It doesn't for that price. It really does feel good. Feels quality. Feels like it's worth a little bit more than just 80 in my opinion, my personal opinion. But of course, the originals come with the metal sheath, not the leather. But I do like the leather. I do like, this is a nice kind of, I think in my slightly more modern taste. Of course, that would be, if you really want to go modern, then it would be, choose Kydex. I think would be probably a better alternative choice for this. If you can do the Kydex route, go ahead. I mean, more power to you. But this is good the way it is. I really do enjoy the leather sheath. I'm a traditional sheath guy, so that's a win. Like I said, I felt a little bit weirded out when the thing was drenched in oil, but I'm sure if it's sitting on a shelf somewhere, they kind of have to protect the leather somehow, right? The leather is very malleable. There's no thick, like, tough feel of the leather at all. It just feels very, very. You can bend it. It's very loose. I want to say it doesn't feel rigid. It doesn't feel tight or stiff in any place. So it does. If you're afraid of that, you just keep that in mind when you get this. If you get this, but it's a fantastic knife either way, and it doesn't break the bank. It's under $100. I think this would be a great knife. I think this would be. Had I seen this before in I had to purchase a knife a while back for home defense because the knives that I had are all in one spot and I couldn't get to them. So I had to purchase a knife, and I went to Big Five and I purchased. It was a really poor quality knife that I ended up giving away to a friend because I just didn't. It was like a knockoff of a knockoff, and it wasn't even a trench knife. It was a really poorly made wannabe Kbar, and every time I held it, I was disgusted with it. It had really, really cheap steel, and it was ugly and horrible. And had I known about this, I probably would have gotten this instead, because that thing was $95, and it just didn't. It felt like I was being ripped off, and it was not a great knife. And of course, now that I see it, I think I was ripped off, because now you can get one for like $20-$30, and then you kind of understand why it's that price. So I don't know if somebody screwed up on that price tag or whatever, but this actually does feel a little bit more than what you're paying for. And had I known about this one, I probably would have gotten this one first. So this is fantastic. It's great. I really do enjoy it. Just the aesthetic of it, the fact that it's it's a piece of history in your hand. It really is. It really, really is. If you want to get in depth with it, you can, and look up the exact points. There's a lot of other videos that state its complete background info. I'm just going off of just me being a blade guy and me loving the aesthetic of it. I mean, it's just really cool looking. There's no discernible marks on it, so it doesn't have to be from any specific branch of military. It's just, bam, it's just that. So it doesn't have any logo on there. I like that about that, I really do. The option for a thigh tie is a fantastic add-on there, so you don't always have to use something that you're not comfortable with. You could just put some paracord down there if you freaking want to, or not at all. You could just have it dangle from your belt if you want. So I really do like that. That's a really cool thing. It feels really balanced. I can tell you right now that it has a lot. It just feels chunky in the hand for me, and I have medium hands, so just be aware of that. But I think that goes with any and all leather stacked trench or Kbar knife. Just feels good. This feels like I can use this knife. I could really, really use this knife. Fantastic. And I really do like the ceramic coating they put on the blade, that dark coating, that non-reflective stuff. Love it. Fantastic. You can tell this was a fighting knife, at least historically anyways. And I have really nothing bad to say about this knife. For its crude appearance, it's designed for war. That's what it was designed to take out your enemy. So, awesome stuff. I think the only gripe that I have was, the leather being drenched in oil, but I mean, I was able to transfer that and protect this, give or take. So great for the price, it being $80. I think it only went up, was it $75 was when I first heard about it, and then when I checked the price, it only went up like $5 change maybe. Really awesome knife. So if you're looking at looking for a decent bedside self-defense knife, I don't know, this would be a great option, or if you're just going to go on a hike but you want something a little bit more this genre. Why not? This doesn't break the bank. It's under $100. It looks and feels cool. Why not? It feels sturdy as hell. I gotta be honest. It's good stuff. Anyways, go ahead and slash that like button, stab that subscribe, slice that bell icon so you guys are notified anytime I post new videos. In these craziest of times. I know we're kind of at the brink of war, aren't we? We're kind of getting there, huh? It feels like we're almost hitting World War III, in my opinion, if you're listening to the news and everything that's been going on over there in Ukraine and what Russia's doing. This is kind of one of those hopefully you don't need to use it type situations, right? In these craziest times, everybody, please be kind, be safe, carry responsibly, and I'll see you all awesomely amazing people in the next video.